Not content with your content? You've come to the right place. The DisContent Show with Joe Kuzma. Every brand starts with a story. Here's how you can grow your business by sharing it. Now, with today's topic, the host of the DisContent Show, Joe Kuzma.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the DisContent Show. My name is Joe Kuzma, and as I've said, folks, I hope to come to you at least weekly. Sometimes I might be coming twice a week, a little more rapid fire as I have all of these topics, and I really want to get to some tools of the trade, but that's not going to be today because I got one more big thing that I need to discuss with you on today's show. It's another huge principle to live by when you're doing this content marketing stuff. And I want to welcome back all of the returning listeners to the DisContent Show. And if you're a new listener, I'd like to welcome you as well. I want to let you know that you could go back into the archives and look at some of the past episodes too, because most of this information is not something that's just going to go by the wayside or, I don't want you to feel like, well, if you jump in here and this is like the fourth or fifth episode in, that you can't go back because it's not like news or current events where it's old hat. Everything should be useful, and I'm trying, to do maybe deliberately set this in motion with certain baby steps and building blocks and whatnot. So if you didn't have a chance to catch the first few episodes, please do so. This one today is going to be more of a strategy and thinking and brainstorming type session as well. But if you heard me say content marketing, the reason I use this word, and it's like a fancy word, it's almost like saying a cashier is a customer service representative these days. Or remember when advertising wasn't called marketing? Well, I don't want you to be afraid of the word content marketing. It sounds scary. There's a lot of things into it, but my 5 big things, what I call the 5 pillars of content marketing, simple stuff. Blogging. That's probably the easiest thing that anybody can do. Probably at most fault for giving a lot of people opinions maybe that shouldn't have them out in the public realm. But of course, when you're dealing with something yourself, whether it's a hobby that you're passionate about, I'm sure everyone is very well researched and informed and knowledgeable about the things that they speak of for the most part. So I kid. But blogging, really easy for somebody just like yourself to hop on and write and produce some articles and posts and whatnot. And those are really good to put out and promote on social media. Now, sometimes you have to have like a catchy headline. I always hate the clickbait type stuff. I don't like to do things just for shock value. So if you're out there and you're blogging, give somebody something of value. Now, I'll talk about that in a second, but social media is another pillar, whether that be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of them, you name them. There's a whole bunch of them. Podcasting, right here, recording. I'm speaking to you. It's like an audiobook version of myself. Very, very handy, a whole different audience than what you might get regularly on the internet with folks that read. Some people like to read, some people like to listen, some people will do both. Some people will just skim and read the headline on Facebook. It happens. Don't get beat up about it. Some people just like to conversate better and make comments on a topic. So none of that's a bad thing. It's just all different ways to reach and speak to people, and that's what the other 2 are as well. When you're dealing with ebooks, it's basically a larger version of a blog, and it may even be something that you charge for. Whether that charging is, if it's a free product and you're just asking for someone's email, that's great, because then you get to build the 5th pillar, which is your email newsletter, your email list. And they call it email marketing and all these fancy terms, email blasts, whatever it may be. It may even just be a simple one-on-one email with somebody that you know, but it's a tried and true, trusty, old, effective way of communication, provided it doesn't end up in spam or junk. And there's all kinds of tips and tricks for that not to happen as well. And those are the type of things that I will be covering in future episodes. And I don't mean to sound like a broken wheel on one of these shows by constantly mentioning those, but I feel like that's something that needs to be discussed, and that is you should not fear content marketing. Do not let content marketing own you. However, I have to preface that because today's topic is about consistency. It is my biggest, maybe even bigger pet peeve than anything else that I will speak of. I talked about how time is on your side. I mean, you can make time however you make it, because sometimes you just have to do something and it's only 5 minutes. You don't have to make a 5-minute job into an hour job. It snowballs like that because we get caught up looking at somebody's baby photos or something on Facebook, something that just distracts you. So you just got to get rid of the distractions and those negative influencers in life. And I spoke about that on the last show. Now you got to go and put this into application. You got to actually work on it. And consistency, it's a multi-pronged type thing as well. It can't just peg it down to, well, let's start. I will peg it down to one thing, at least, is your branding. Because if you're not consistent with your branding, now your branding is all of your materials. This has nothing to do with actually publishing content, which is content marketing. It does, but I'm not talking about frequency here. Frequency will be later. The consistency of everything and how it looks, your colors, your fonts, images that you use. Like, for example, the DisContent Show here, black and orange. Orange is my favorite color. That's why I picked orange. I had people ask me that before I got into this. Very deliberate that the same font, the same logo is always used throughout all of the materials. That means if you look on my Facebook page and you see the DisContent branding, you see the DisContent icons and images, cover photo, okay, that is going to be similar or identical to what you see on Twitter or on the website or when you look up this show on Apple Podcasts. So you got to make sure that all this stuff looks the same. Now, I've had people in the past, and you know, sometimes you know enough to be dangerous. You're your own worst enemy. And I could tell people stuff as much as possible, but like another pet peeve of mine, for example, is making everything caps or bold or underlining things in your blog. Don't use the underline button, folks. I mean, in Microsoft Word, it's even confusing anymore because if people include links on a website, what are links usually? Underlined, or you hover over them and they underline, or it's a poorly designed site and you can't tell it's a link. And that's usually what happens when you underline text if you happen to be blogging or you have a website that's built with something like WordPress or Drupal and you can edit your content on your pages. Don't underline things. That's a big one. Don't use colors that don't fit with your branding. That's another consistency type thing. I don't want to use purple with DisContent. If you happen to have, we'll talk about my favorite NFL team, Pittsburgh Steelers, for example, black and gold. Orange isn't going to really fit with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, there are marketing efforts. There are, we'll call this, I hate calling it marketing because breast cancer awareness, they do market. I mean, that's essentially what they're doing, but they're trying to create awareness by doing so, by promoting everything. And when the players there in pro football and they're wearing pink, it sticks out like a sore thumb for a reason, because none of the 32 teams that play in the NFL wear pink. So it's not like one team decided to wear pink and another team decided to, I don't know, use purple or something to do their awareness thing. Now, there's different colors for different causes, obviously, but just speaking on that, that's still consistent, even though it's outside the realm of the black and yellow of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not like all of a sudden they just threw pink on their website or pink in an Instagram post or something like that. Now, there are variations to things. There are special occasions. Let's say Christmas, for example, is red and green. You're not going to use red, white, and blue on Christmas just the same way you wouldn't use red and green on the 4th of July. So these are some things that, you know, you could be consistent, but just be careful. I always call it, me and a buddy, we call it the Crayola box. And you want to make sure that whenever you're posting or publishing things that have your name, your brand's name, your business's name on it, that it's easily identifiable. Now, it doesn't mean that businesses don't change logos over time, but to be completely honest, just how much does a Pizza Hut or a Burger King or let's say Pepsi, when they do change that stuff, they don't stray too far off the reservation. And when they do make that change, it's a very big, profound change. And they're a much larger company than probably any of us that are discussing that here on today's show. So it's something where they have a lot of money behind it. They could push it and create that awareness when they're promoting any type of a logo change. But still, it's not too big. It's usually making something more modern, bringing it into the present day era. So I don't know. It's tough for me to get off the Crayola box. It's just, just be careful, because you may not know every font or anything that's out there, but just make note of what it is that you use on things. Times New Roman is not going to work if you're using Helvetica or Arial. There's, like I said, you play by your rules, but don't confuse people. You want people to be able to recognize you right off the bat, and you don't want to do anything that's just, I don't know, out of place, so to speak, on any of your marketing materials. Now, that gets me into another wing of consistency here, and that is what will be your routine of content marketing, of publishing things. I like to get into a routine of where my main source, it's no mistake that when I mention the 5 pillars here, that blogging and podcasting are the first 2, and they're almost interchangeable because they're almost completely 2 different formats. Now, you may do a little bit of blogging when you post the podcast because you're going to have your show notes that are involved in there. I couldn't say that for some reason. Slip of the tongue, right? You want to make sure that you have a little description about what your show is and different ways that people can follow you. The consistency here is that people will be able to follow you. That's what you want. You want people to subscribe. You want people to pay attention and come back for more. So hopefully you're doing the same here, and hopefully I'm doing an all right job with that. But it requires a little bit of writing usually, and you have a title for your show. You have a description. Now, blogging is just a bigger version of that because obviously you can't speak. I wish things like Siri could just do all the voice dictation for me right from this and put it into a blog post. But you know what? No one wants to read 5,000 words anyways. So you're going to be a little more, it's okay to be brief and to the point. You don't have to write a novel of anything, whatever it may be about. I don't know, fixing the kitchen sink or whatever that might be. Remember, it's your story. You're trying to entertain people, but you only have to be good. You don't have to be great. You don't have to go over and above. If you do, sometimes, you know what? That'll help you, and sometimes it might not. It might go ignored because you never know what's going to grab or hold someone's attention. Unfortunately, if we knew that, we would all be millionaires creating viral videos and viral blog posts and podcasts and all these things of that nature. So nobody knows that. That's the whole, what do you want to say, the voodoo or black magic of the black marketing, the content marketing aspect, or any marketing. I wanted to say black magic there instead of black marketing. That's the way some people feel about it, though. They feel that it's this dark science or dark arts that, it doesn't reap any rewards. You can't get discouraged by anything. If somebody doesn't like a post that you put on Facebook or retweet something that you tweet out on Twitter, don't let what other people do or don't do affect what you do. Be consistent. When people are following you, they're following you for a reason. They want to see your updates. So if you're giving out information like I am trying to help you with tips and tricks for doing this content marketing thing, I'm not going to necessarily post a photo of my cat with the DisContent stuff. Keep that to your personal things, which that's going to be another topic here in the near future, is keeping your business and your personal stuff in different baskets. Now, you can have a little bit of overlap. It's nice for people on the business side to see things from you personally, and vice versa for you to personally share some of your business stuff. But your close friends and family, they don't want to see your business stuff just shoved down their throat. And likewise, like I said, if I'm talking about how you can do things on social media or blogging or any of these other 5 pillars that I speak about here with content marketing, I don't think you want to see a dozen photos of, let's say, my daughter's gymnastics class. It's just not, it's not the time or place. So give them a reason to follow you. Another reason, the consistency here. See, part of that consistency is not being goofy and going off the reservation, just sticking with positioning yourself as an expert, quite frankly. That's what you want to do. You want to do it, I don't want to say often, because like I said, it's your own rules. I like to do things maybe at least twice per week. If you do more and you're doing once a day, you could burn yourself out. You may not. If you get into doing more than once a day, it might be more than what you really need to do in some cases. Now, it's all relative. It all depends on what kind of business you're in, what kind of following you have, but you're trying to build some of that up. I would almost, instead of just posting into the abyss, because if you have like 10 followers, that's what you're doing. You are shouting from the mountain. It's if the tree falls in the woods, does anyone hear it? That's when you got to pay for ads and try and get more people and more eyeballs on some of your stuff, which I'll cover in the near future as well. That helps. I know it sounds like, well, I'm buying this or that, but it's really no different than what anybody's ever done with buying TV ads or buying radio ads when you buy a Facebook ad. So there's nothing wrong with that. You're just trying to create brand awareness. Be aware, some brands just don't necessarily have people gravitate to it. I'm trying to think of something, but if you're like a doctor's office, I don't know that you're going to have the fanatics, the following of the local ice cream shop that's everyone's favorite. You know what I mean? So there's different levels there, but it still doesn't mean that you shouldn't say that Dr. Joe's office is down the street, it's on the corner, and you could get there and we're open, blah, 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 blah. And this is why you should come to Dr. Joe's office. So I just gave you a few things right there that make it easy and put things out there. Now, how do you get to all those other people? But it's consistency. You could take time. Try and be consistent in don't just post things, but respond to others and follow others and try and start building almost a community within each of these different social media networks where it doesn't seem like you're just shouting at people and spamming them with messages of buy, me. Spread the wealth. Don't be selfish is basically what I'm saying there. But you got to be able to do it on a consistent basis. People are, I don't necessarily know that they're looking for you. And that's another thing that's kind of interesting, especially in the Facebook world where they're trying to crack down on the fake news stuff these days. If they're not looking for you, how do they find you? Well, that's part of the consistency. If you post 5 things on one day, Facebook is going to filter it out, and really only 1 or 2 of those may get the most maximum potential. And all you've done is you've burned through your pile of things that you can post. So you want to spread those out. That's why I say if you do it a day here, a day there, what's the best days? It's the best days that's for you. It's the best days that you gauge that you get some business. I mean, there's no mistake as to why movie theaters release movies on a Friday for the whole weekend. So it's new. It's new. Everybody's got to go see it. I got to see it. Oh, it came out Friday. I'm busy Friday. I'll do it Saturday. You know what your business is, and you're going to figure this out. It's the same thing. Like I know that some places, some eateries, they're not even open on Mondays because just nobody cares to go eat at these places. Or maybe they're open, they start for lunch hours because nobody would come in at 7 in the morning to buy a pizza. It's just these things that you're going to find out. It's trial and error, and it is exclusive to you. That's why I say there's no secret to the content marketing thing, because a lot of this is your expertise and then applying it in a different area here with content marketing. So at least be consistent. Now, as far as time of day, I mean, if you post on Facebook, it's going to make its rounds. Instagram the same way. Twitter is very in this moment. It's like live breaking action news and it's over. But you could always retweet it or post it again. And there's utilities that help post to all these different things. But getting it out there too, all of those different sites for SEO purposes. When you're getting your stuff out there, you're not even realizing it, but you're typing in your industry's keywords as you're explaining things. If you're doing a blog, which I said blog is most important, numero uno and above everything, because if you're doing a podcast, you at least got to have you got to have a means to record it and a means to publish. That technical stuff, I don't think it's above anyone's head. I think it's a lot easier than people feel it's going to be. And of course, I'll be covering that in the near future as well. But I think everybody can write, and you could at least throw something in like a word processor, Microsoft Word, or the Google Business, Google does it for free, Google Apps or whatever you call it, and they have their version of a word processor, and you could go in there and you could at least spell check and make sure that you're not making all kind of errors, and somebody says, well, does this guy really know what he's talking about, because he doesn't seem very literate. No, they'll know that you guys and gals will know your stuff based on the content and very little errors. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes typos. In Word, the spell check feature won't find everything. If you're typing on a smartphone, autocorrect is the devil. If you got fat fingers like I do, I don't necessarily enjoy doing anything via a tablet or a phone for that reason. I'm a traditional desktop computer, laptop computer. I don't care if it's a PC, Mac. If you're a Linux head, go for it. That stuff's all great. But if you're doing a blog, you want to send people back to your website, not just posting random silliness on Facebook. Every now and then a photo or a general message is good because, again, you're not shouting at everyone. But start putting some links to your stuff in there, because you're going to get people back to your website. And if your website's properly built and has your sales pitch, or even just your phone number, or a contact form or an email or some way to get in touch with you, that may be a way that it gets the ball rolling. It entices somebody to take that next step and make that contact that you didn't previously had, because I know a lot of people there look for sales leads. But again, don't look at it as something where you're going to turn on the faucet and the water's just flowing immediately. It's going to be drips and drabs, and it takes some time. Not a lot of time, because time, once again, is on your side. Just be consistent with it. Don't go if you go once a week, that's great. Don't go once a month, because that's going to get you nowhere. If you end up missing a post, it's not the end of the world. Do it the next day, or do it 2 days later, or let everybody know maybe that you're on vacation if you've got like this rabid following. Now, if people really aren't paying attention to what you're doing, you don't have to necessarily say that you're on vacation, because then it almost sounds like self-serving, like, look at me, I'm going on vacation, and you're going to miss all this great stuff that I have to say. But it's important to inform people and let them know of your absence. Remember, I did that at the very beginning of this show, because I know some of you that are going to catch on to this are going to be looking for stuff maybe multiple times per week, but time has to be on my side, and I can't necessarily do that as well. So keep that in mind. Consistency. There will be some tools. There's already stuff that you could do, like Facebook will allow you to schedule things into the future. But if you have multiple platforms, there are tools and stuff. I'm going to try and get into software within the next 1 or 2 episodes and touch upon some of those things, because they are important. They will help you be more efficient, and most importantly, they will help you be consistent. So as I like to leave everyone off here, don't forget to subscribe on the various podcast platforms that you may be listening on. Thanks again once more for supporting the DisContent Show and myself, Joe Kuzma. For more information, as always, my website, very easy to remember, joekuzma.com. But in case you don't know how to spell that, it's J-O-E, simple. It's just Joe. K-U-Z is in zebra, M is in Mary, A is in Adam.com. Till next time, folks, be safe, be good, and I will catch you later. Hi folks, this is Joe Kuzma. No, don't worry, you're not hearing things twice. I'm just here to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for listening to today's show and being a follower and subscriber of the DisContent podcast. And I want to remind you that if you're interested in more information about all the various things it is that I do, whether it be about this show, content marketing, or you want to ask a question, you may visit me at joekuzma.com. That's JOEKUZMA.com. Or you can follow me as well on Facebook. Make sure you get the page and not the personal profile. Sorry, it's only for friends and family. Also on Twitter at Joe_Kuzma, LinkedIn or Instagram.
Also, don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe, whether that be on iTunes, YouTube, or your favorite podcast provider, so you don't miss out on any of the great episodes that we have. Once again, thank you again for your support, and I look forward, as always, to speaking and interacting with each of you again soon.